People watching the show.
Yeah. You've got these like googly.
Born for this, born to write, born to speak up, born to fight, born to dream in the dead of night. The gifted bipolar writer, shining so bright. Never in control, but in control of fate. Learning to navigate through love and hate. Rising above with every twist and turn. Embracing the fire as we watch it burn. Embracing the chaos, finding the light. Breaking the chains, taking flight. Riding the waves with all our might. Writing our story in black and white. Never in control, but in control of fate. Learning to navigate through love and hate. Rising above with every twist and turn. Embracing the fire as we watch it burn. Through the highs and lows, we find our way. In the darkest moments, we still find day. The pen in our hand, the power we hold. The story unfolds as we break the mold. Never in control, but in control of fate. Learning to navigate through love and hate. Rising above with every twist and turn. Embracing the fire as we watch it burn. Through the highs and lows, we find our way. In the darkest moments, we still find day. The pen in our hand, the power we hold. The story unfolds as we break the mold.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. Welcome back indeed to Nick Never in Control. It's been a while, hasn't it? 6 weeks can feel like a lifetime. And it certainly has felt that way for me these last 6 weeks. I miss being here, of course, with all of you. And I want to thank you all for the incredible support you sent my way when you learned of the passing of my sweet Proky son. I needed some time to step away and heal, and I appreciate everyone's grace. And wow, just seeing everybody showing up to here tonight. It's too early in the show. Nick's totally not going to start crying. And it's been a bit since I saw the intro video, and it's as impactful as it's always been for me. I do hope it was for you. As you know, Aaron Gibson, remote producer, my big brother, only brother, created that lovely video. And more than that, he wrote that song with me in mind and how much he cares for me and what he knows it means to me to share my story, but to give a platform for others to share theirs. And it, like it says, as the story unfolds, and that's exactly what we're back to. And we're going to be doing this throughout the month of June, every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yep, you heard that right. I know we were at every other night. However, I have 17 phenomenal souls to introduce you to. I say phenomenal because, quite frankly, some of these stories are nothing short of miraculous. And the two gentlemen that you are going to meet tonight, Ryan and Joshua MacLeod, all I can say is hold on to your seats. I know you're going to have questions. Put them out there. You know Aaron's going to pick them up. And these two gentlemen are new friends, co-authors in the next anthology, We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnoses. There are more than a dozen diagnoses being written about in this book. I was honored to tell them, I can't wait for you guys to be on the show, but to meet my amazing community. I mean, when I say community, I couldn't be here doing this without all of you. No audience, no show. No readers, no books. No one listening to my story. Well, I am bipolar, so one side listens to the other. You know how that goes. But anyways, we definitely have lots that we need to jump into. I see so many people out there. I have been dropping in the comments myself your names and hearts, so you will see that I dropped comments. If I didn't get to you, it's because the remote producer back there said 3, 2, 1, you're on screen. But I do see you, and I most certainly will call you guys out during the course of the show. So thank you so much. Real quick, what have I been up to? Oh gosh, what have I not been up to is the question. So I became an advisory board member for HR4U. Jason Forehand just popped up on screen there. He's the founder of that nonprofit. It is a nonprofit I've been supporting now for a few years. I believe very wholeheartedly in what they're doing. They are impacting lives by spreading awareness of living wages. And they're creating a transformation kitchen that will allow people to upskill and help also to feed the community. I did my very first fundraiser with my co-host Jen Lynn Ford, and of course my brother Aaron Gibson, and our goal was $500. We doubled that. We made $1,000 for that nonprofit because of you guys. And like I always say, a little from each adds up to a whole hell of a lot. So thank you for that. Business has been going well. I'm starting my second quarter of the year. Well, technically I'm ending my first quarter because I started in February. Outside of the next anthology, goodness, Legacy Anthology will come in December again, will be third annual. But I have about anywhere from 4 to 6 solo books I will be publishing between now and the end of the year as well. So I thank you for your continued support. Everyone's been sharing about my work, and now the Guiding Brilliant Writers page has grown to 450 followers in just a few months. And again, I just want to express my absolute gratitude to everyone. Sending a very special shout out to Leslie Flowers. She's my heart. I do Mind Over Matter Mondays with her as her co-host. And she's really been a dear friend. Now I have so very many here, needless to say, in all different facets of my life. And you know who you are. And just thank you for all that you do. Hello, Charles. Mrs. Freckles is here. I don't know about Wonder Woman, but wait, no, Aaron snuck that into the intro. All right, guys. So we have a jam-packed show, and I want to bring our guests up, and I want us to roll. So, executive remote producer. Ta-da! Hello, Jerry. Hello, Joshua.
Hello.
Thank you very much for taking time to be with us tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
It is very much appreciated. You guys took the step to be a part of this next project, but these are additional opportunities, if you will, and not something everyone is necessarily interested in, and or they participate because of the project. But I have had the opportunity to get to know you both through DMs initially, then chapter review Zoom calls, and then just Zoom calls in regards to the project. And I am kind of like funky about the why people want to do things. And it's something that I want to say I've gotten pretty good at picking up during a conversation. So I tend to have a lot of initial conversations with people before they join a project. And without a doubt, I feel your whys, both of you. I feel each of your whys. I feel it. And you guys are the prime example of the type of individuals that I want to have in my projects and whose stories I want featured. All stories are important, but I personally think when you're doing them for certain reasons, they feed to the vision of taking on the impact that you want to create. So I personally want to thank you for that. And I know my community wants to thank you for coming here to share about you, because you are both new to them. So with that said, I am thirsty. I am going to drink some coffee.
Enjoy.
At 8:13 p.m. So I will be up till 2. So I want to start by asking a couple of questions, more personal questions. I like the audience to have an idea of who they're, getting to know. So I'll start with you, Jerry, and then we'll move on to Joshua. But basically, who are you? Where are you here from, calling in from? Do you have a family? Do you have hobbies? Maybe what are you doing right now with your life, work, anything like that you might want to share. Jerry?
Okay. Well, I'm Jerry, and I'm a stress coach right now. Is my big thing. I used to be a counselor for like 10 years, and I basically I work with people with high anxiety, PTSD, depression, stuff like that. A lot of people who were trauma victims, Iraq and Afghan war veterans. I just work with a whole bunch of different kind of people. I'm calling today from Portland, Oregon, or actually Oregon City, Oregon, which is a suburb of Portland. I live in this house with my wife, and next year will be 50th year anniversary for us.
Wow.
Yeah, and let's see. Another thing I'm doing right now is on the side, I'm writing children's scary books. It's kind of like Harry Potter meets Goosebumps. kind of stuff.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So that's kind of, I've got the first book of a trilogy written for that. And that's kind of where I am right now with things. And I was lucky enough to meet Nick through a project called the Outlier Project. And it's just a whole bunch of people that step outside the bounds, so to speak, of what society thinks we ought to be doing. So for folks like us with head injuries, or somebody who's bipolar, or I'm also quadriplegic. So, society sticks limits on what they think we can do. And we pretty much don't do that. We don't follow those rules.
If they only knew. We are three of those people right up here on stage. That is for sure. Kathy Love is here. Kathy just popped in. Kathy's here from the Outlier Project. It's so wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I apologize, Sherry. I interrupted there.
I think that pretty much says what other question did you ask? Did I miss one?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Just wanted a brief introduction.
Okay, well, that covers it, I think.
Executive remote producer, you getting a feedback from me? Okay. All right, cool. All right, so thank you, Jerry. And Joshua, please introduce yourself.
Hey, Joshua MacLeod. I'm all the way down south, sunny Florida on the East Coast, and I'm just enjoying another calm, quiet weekend with my dog, which is pretty much what I do. Where do I start? After this traumatic brain injury due to carbon monoxide poisoning, it completely changed my life, the way I function, the way I do everything. So I tend to keep things really, really simple and just calm and quiet. So I don't get out anymore like I used to. I'm not a party animal anymore. I'm not like that. But I moved to the beach shortly, not long after the accident, and started rebuilding my life out here. I left everything behind. I just had to. Basically, starting over from scratch was not easy, but that's what I did. I did it the hard way, but I'm glad I did it. I survived. I made it out here at the beach, and I have a full life. I used to be a physical therapist, did that for 12 years. And then I got into writing. I wrote 4 books, and currently working on 2 more. And right now I'm working with my family and my brothers and his wife's business, and helping them as well, on top of everything else that I'm doing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Busy guy.
Yeah, I like to stay busy because it's good for the noggin.
Yes, and I think Jerry would agree with that. I most certainly agree with that. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. Is anybody, I don't know, me? Is it me? I know my boo is in the next room, but I'm pretty sure he's not asleep yet, so it's not him snoring. But all right, cool. So I had a question for you, Zan, and I actually do have a question for Jerry too, because of what we just shared. Joshua, you picked up and moved. Why? Like, you packed up everything and moved.
It was it was
Was it because of the traumatic brain injury, or?
I had to be around a lot of oxygen, and to get away from the city, you know, I had to get away from all the pollution, for the lack of a better term. Living in the city, you're around cars all the time. You're around motorcycles. You're outside somewhere, and so one of the doctors suggested that I think he nonchalantly, jokingly said it, but he didn't think I would take it seriously. It was to move somewhere where there's no pollution, for lack of a better term. And living here in sunny Florida, we'd always go to the beach on the weekends. Always, that was our weekend getaway. It was weekend. We were weekend warriors at the beach. And I always wanted to move to the beach. It's tough living at the beach. It's not cheap. It's not easy. And jobs are hard to find. But I moved out here regardless, just to get away from all the pollution, just to help my body consume, inhale, as much fresh oxygen as I could. And, when I said that I left it all, I literally left it all.
It's really interesting because sometimes with a diagnosis, you don't stop to think about, if at first you think certain things like medication, talk therapy, physical therapy, outpatient clinics and stuff like that, you don't actually consider an entire environment change as part of a tool, a space that could actually or would actually help you to manage the diagnosis. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, me being an outdoorsy guy, I've always been outside. I love working outside. I like to work out outside. I like to go just everything outside. And growing up in Florida, going to the beach all the time, I knew right away that for me to get more oxygen into my system, into my brain, other than the hyperbaric chamber and other than working out, other than everything else I was doing, I knew I had to live near the beach. And it changed in my mind because, when you're young and you're healthy, nothing's, life is good. You never think of the beach as a healing place. You think it was a vacation place. You want to go vacation and have fun.
Indeed.
But for me, I went for the therapeutic reasons. And long story short, I kind of became the person everybody saw on the beach every day. And I got called a beach bum many times, and they had no idea that I was just there breathing in all the fresh air.
There go the judgments. I gotta say though, I'm a little bit jelly, of course. I love the beach myself, and I haven't been in the last 2 summers. We'll talk about that another time. But Jerry, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I know you've written other books. In fact, I know of the most recent one. And I didn't realize that you were also doing children's horror books. Now, you could have told me, but when I think children's books and then I think the word horror in the same, I'm like, children horror books? What? Okay, that's interesting. I certainly want to be able to read the first copy, please. That's so different than what your most recent book was, right?
Yeah, because my most recent book was, it's a self-help book called Living Less Stressed, Keeping Calm in the Chaos. And I developed that book from 10 years of working with those clients that I mentioned about the people with PTSD, the trauma victims, accident victims, all that kind of stuff. And what I did was basically with those clients is I used all the techniques I had used for years to control my own anxiety and fear and PTSD from being bullied and all kinds of stuff like that. And so I developed this process, and I actually found out when I went to counseling school that there were clinical names for the stuff I was doing. Things like mindfulness-based stress reduction. Okay. That one, and then I combined that with another one called acceptance and commitment therapy. So it's kind of like you learn how to shut off that little guy in your head or lady who's talking to you and telling you what a piece of crap you are and how bad your life is. You learn how to shut that person off, and then you move forward to finding out, where am I holding all this stress? I start taking people to know their core values. Figuring out what they
We're
want.
losing you a little bit. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes. What did you just say? I'm sorry.
We were losing you a little bit. Your camera is kind of cutting out and your audio as well.
Oh, okay. Don't know what I can do about that. It's probably my Wi-Fi. But
of course, as soon as I can hear you. Go very good.
Okay, what I was saying was I wrote this book based on things I had done and things that I saw work for my clients for over 10 years. And it takes a couple of different theories of counseling, and actual just mindfulness is the biggest piece, and accepting where you are and committing to getting better regardless of how you are right now. And so it goes with your core values so that you can make sure your life is in alignment, basically. Because if what you're doing, if your actions don't align with your core values, you're not going to be happy. I always use the example of if your core value is honesty and you try to be a used car salesman, you're not going to do well.
That's a perfect example. And not the first I would have thought of off the top of my head, but it is like such a resonant example. Could you imagine
that's the thing.
the worst at it?
I love using examples that people can go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Even if it's a stereotype. I've got brothers that are used car salesmen and they're not cheats, but still, that's kind of the stereotype. So it works as an example. So that's where my book came from. And it is completely different than what we're doing together with the anthology, and completely different than the scary kids books that I'm doing.
Yes, I know, which brings me back to Joshua, because Joshua is also a writer. And Joshua, maybe you'd like to share with us the type of writing you do.
Oh God, the type of writing I do. I'm definitely into the mystery thriller thing. I like that a lot. I've read a lot of, oh my God, John D. MacDonald was one of my favorite authors growing up. I read almost every one of his books, and Robert B. Parker, classic guy. Just when he passed away, it just killed me. But yeah, the whole mystery thriller, good guy, bad guy kind of thing is my thing. I wrote one crazy book that I loved it, but it just didn't come out the way I really wanted to. But right now I'm focusing on the thriller aspect of it, and that's where I'm headed. And I got 2 more books that I'm working on for that series of books. Wonderful. Savage Tango, Savage House, Savage Seas, and then I have Savage Devil and Savage Jungle.
Yes, and I jumped in and purchased one, and I started reading, but I don't believe it was any of those. That was I forget. It might have been one of your first books.
Chasing Latitudes.
Yes, Chasing Latitudes.
That's the one I'm not happy with.
I know, incidentally, and I told you, I got the book, and you're like, and I'm like, well, I actually was enjoying it when I started. So before we dive a little bit deeper into your stories, I do want to acknowledge some of these comments coming up here from everyone in the audience. I have also seen a few people who said this is their first time being here, and I want to welcome you and let you know that in this space of non-judgment, of support for each other, that while it might be a live show, and these days people are concerned, privacy-wise and not wanting to talk about certain things, I understand that. But feel free if you need to drop a comment. Nobody's going to go, is that person nuts? Did they just ask that? No, I am nuts. So you're not going to have that problem here. So Aaron, if you would, and I could see them. I am seeing, I think there was, so Leslie wrote, oh, Jerry, as core values evolve, so will our programs. And I love that very simple statement, because indeed, I will say, can our core values change? I'm curious, Jerry, do you think our core values can change over time? Or once you have them, you have them?
I think they change. I have a process that I take my clients through where I give them a bunch of flashcards, basically. There's about 88 of them with different values written on.
Oh, that's a lot.
So we have them sort it all out into what's really important, what's not important at all, and what's the very most important. And then after we go through that, a lot of people can't get below 44 values. About half of them, I'm going, wow, you're going to go through life trying to hit these with a shotgun instead of a laser-sighted weapon, that you can go out there and kill these values and nail them, And so I have them go through it a second time with the ones that they said were the most important. And basically tell them what could you not live without out of these.
Mhm.
And that pretty much trims everything down quite a bit too. But still, there's some people who will have 20 or more at that point.
Yeah, a good question.
And then the last thing I do after that, I go, okay, we'll try it one more time. What do you want people to say about you at your funeral? What are you going to leave as your legacy? What values do you want people to remember you for? And that's where, I think the values, they start out really wide, and then you can help people really narrow it down to what counts for them. Because I think a lot of times when people start talking about their values, they tell you what they think they should be instead of what they really are.
That's a good one. What they think it should be. I really like that. So Lydia had said, those who judge a nutsnick, and that's cracking me up. I want to throw out to the audience what Jerry just said. When you die, what do you want people to remember about you? As you know, one of the anthologies that I do is the Legacy Chronicles, and this Christmas will be the 3rd annual. Became a series. It didn't mean to be a series, but I would love to see in the comments, what are 3 things that you would really like people to remember about you when you die? You would be surprised. You would think that, oh, there are going to be a ton of similars. We are all different, and there are a ton of core values. So I'm really curious to see what you would drop in those comments. And I am just going to take a quick scroll through the comments. Just bear with me, because I saw some that I really want to kind of address. And of course, my executive remote producer is awesome, because he already stars them, because he knows which ones I want to. Isn't it crazy when we find out all the names for what we inherently feel and how and know and move through? Yes, it is. And I think a lot of this comes out in the practice of writing. No matter which theme you are writing to, you're going to find that you're going to bring up so many emotions in yourself that they're there, but perhaps you never really brought them to light. So I saw Lydia wrote here as well, Leah Garcia, saline air. And I almost moved to Utah last year and found there was none of me there, too far from the sea. And that ties right into what Joshua is saying about being near the ocean. And so I find that very interesting, because Lydia is a co-author in this book as well. And it will also be on the show. She has a different type of diagnosis. So I'm really loving the comments and really enjoying. I'm into the season now of how I want to be remembered. Yes, Leslie is. She's in her winter season, as she would say. So I want you to know I'm enjoying the comments. Many of them are very, that shows me that, this topic is interesting to you. So we're going to dive in a little bit now. And this is where I'm probably going to give a little sneak peek in some sense of your chapters that I have read, and maybe ask you something a bit pointed towards a part in your chapter.
Sounds good.
So my question to both of you is this. You both suffered traumatic brain injury. I know that Jerry is also paraplegic. You both experienced this at some point in your life through different situations, mind you. I would like to ask what caused your diagnosis to happen. Feel free to share when, like some sort of a timeline. And now, in Jerry's case, there's restricted mobility. I know for a fact in Joshua's case, there was a point there was no mobility either. So I guess here are my questions. What exactly is your diagnosis? When did it happen? What did your family feel when they found out? And what is the most significant thing that you believe you have learned since being diagnosed with this and your journey to where you are now? Is that like really loaded? If not, we could totally go back bit by bit by bit by bit. My remote producers in the back going, what are you doing? I'm sorry, I have a squirrel brain like him. I spent too much time with him. Okay, so then let's start with, what is your diagnosis and when were you diagnosed? And how did how did this happen? So Josh, you want to start?
Sure. All right, it was back in 2013. I was, you have to understand, there was a pretty big lawsuit. So I had to sign a non-disclosure. So some things I can talk about, some things I can't. But I could say is that it was in 2013. There was a negligent third party, just really wasn't taking care of their equipment. And what had happened, the exhaust pipe had just broken off their equipment, ran into the rafters up in the ceilings and came down in the building that I was in. And I had been inhaling that carbon monoxide for full 8 hours. So, yeah, it was not good. That was the diagnosis. I wake up in the hospital. Long story short is that I suffered a traumatic brain injury due to the excessive amount of carbon monoxide in my system. And Nick, you read my chapter, you know how excessive it was. Technically, I shouldn't be here at all.
Right.
The fact that I'm even here is a miracle. So I thank God, the big guy upstairs, for saving my life, because I didn't deserve it. But yeah, so that's what I'm classified as, traumatic brain injury. It's, for mine, was a little weird because they said they have never met anyone that gone past a certain level of carbon monoxide in their blood, because people pass away pretty quickly. And I was pretty up there, and I had somehow made it through that. And so there was really, as they said, no cure, no, what's that word I'm looking for? There was no protocol for somebody that was up here versus where people were normally treated at.
Yeah.
So I just basically had to wing it all. I just wing it.
It's
literally.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like my friend Kinga is saying in the crowd, because I mean, one day you're minding your business and the next day, like, I noticed you didn't share, but do you want to, and you don't have to because people go buy the book so you can find out. Shucks. Yes, I did just say that. Do you want to share the maximum threshold that a person could hit with carbon monoxide poisoning? And where you were actually at?
Yeah, the maximum people die of carbon monoxide, it's depends on their health. The average person is 11% in their blood. If you're healthy and you work out a lot, you do a lot of stuff, they say generally 12%. So that's just 1% above norm. So I was in excess of 30%. And the doctor in the ER kind of did the math, depending on timed when they took me out of the building, rushed me to the hospital, and how much they put me on oxygen. They kind of assumed that it was in excess of 40%. But I always say in the 30s just to be on the safe side.
Talk about it not being your time.
Yeah.
Because for all intents and purposes, statistically, we shouldn't be having this conversation with Joshua right now.
Yeah.
That is mind-boggling. Lydia shares most people do not survive CO exposure that long.
No,
and you have been in there for what, 8 hours? So in a way, thank goodness that you lived a very type of healthy lifestyle before. Even though that only increased the chances by 1%, which you were like triple times that anyway. But thank you for sharing with us the diagnosis and how it came about and how long it's been for you. I appreciate that. Jerry, your turn.
Well, I've actually had 2 traumatic brain injuries 7 years apart.
Yep.
The first one, I was working in a operating room here in Portland on the night shift, the trauma transplant team. And it was a dull night, no action going on. So I was setting up the rooms for the next day's surgery, and somebody broke into the locked OR and hit me in the back of my head with they think it was an O2 tank or something.
Wow.
They were there to steal narcotics, and they never caught the person. I ended up having a skull fracture from the base of my skull up and over my left ear. And they took me and put me in ICU. And I was in there for 3 days in a coma, and they gave me a 5% chance to live. Well, and I came out of that. I just woke up, basically, and I said, get me the hell out of this hospital. Somebody just tried to kill me here. And so and then basically I lost my sense of smell and taste for a year and a half. I was a 4th-year student, and I couldn't add 7 and 7. I couldn't remember what I was doing most of the time, and the emotional control or lack of. I mean, I could be sitting talking with somebody and just start laughing hysterically to the point where it hurt, and then 5 seconds later I'd be crying. And then also I would get really mad sometimes. I ripped the door off its hinges one time. At that point, I was a martial artist and weightlifter, really scary, big guy. And so part of what ended up happening was I was upset that somebody had gotten past all my martial arts and all my size and still clocked me and damn near killed me. So I couldn't go to sleep until after 1 o'clock. What's when the attack happened.
Yes, I
And
remember.
then I would wake up away from my house. I mean, wake up. And I'd be dressed in a black, like a ninja outfit. As my martial arts coming out. I was crouching down in bushes. This is 2 a.m. And I'm thinking, I'm either going to get killed, I'm going to kill somebody, or I'm going to end up in jail. So they ended up sending me to a rehab place. I had a really great social worker that agreed that this is not good behavior and something really bad's going to happen. Well, that's where I started retraining. They had all these professionals there to help me put together something to basically control those emotions and get my thoughts back. And it was like memory processing and all kinds of different things. And so I came back basically 7 years later. I was in a rollover car accident. We just bought the car the day before. And like Joshua, we were in a lawsuit, and I can't talk about a whole lot of it. But yeah.
That's why you don't like used car salesman.
Yeah. But the car, basically the right rear tire shredded like a retread, wrapped around the axle, spun us off in the desert, me and my 2 sons, 13 and 15 years old. And it flipped the car up in the air, came down on the driver's side, smashed it down to the door jamb, flipped back up, and stopped. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I worked in ORs and ERs for most of my life. So I knew what I'd done, that I'd broken my neck. But that wasn't all. I had so many other injuries that it was crazy. I had so many injuries that when they took me to the ER, they took my wife in another room in the first 15 minutes and said, would you sign this do not resuscitate order? He's not going to make it. And she just started screaming at him. She said, you know who you're messing with. You get in there and do your damn job. And so I'm here today because of that. I owe my wife my life for the decision she made that day. And then I was in a rehab hospital. I don't remember the 3 months. I don't remember the accident or the 3 months afterward. That's how bad the brain injury was. When it flipped up and came down on my side, it wiped out both my frontal lobes. So basically, about a year later, one of the brain docs is looking at my scans and looking at me and looking at my scans and goes, you should be drooling and unable to make complete sentences. And I pretty much went, ta-da! I can beat that. So that's kind of where it all started for both of my head injuries, and I just kept moving forward, not letting it stop me.
I want to say God bless you both, but you know what? God already did that.
You got that right.
And I want to say to both of you, when I paired you to come on as guests on the show, it was for a reason. You both have a similar diagnosis. It both happened through accidents. These are not diagnoses you were born with. And I often wonder to myself, what happens if you weren't born with one and had all your faculties prior to, and now hit something in life that you have to deal with? A lot of people tend to get bitter, not better. And there have been times in my life where I know for a fact that I have been bitter, where I basically railed at God and said, what's the point of you? you know, so outside of the diagnoses themselves, the incredible stories of not the buzzwords, resilience, determination, and all those things. It is a level of heavy lifting, physically, mentally, and emotionally, that until you really and truly sit quietly and read these people's stories, really read them, not speed read through them, not, glance at it. When this book comes out, if you do purchase it, I'm going to ask you something really weird. Yes, I'm a publisher, and yes, I earn my living this way. But I am asking you to please do not purchase this book to support me as a publisher, to put a couple bucks royalty in anybody's pocket. And this is something I'm going to share. The co-authors are aware. Guiding Brilliant Writers has changed things. And moving forward, all anthologies, the first quarter of sales, the first 90 days of sales, royalties are going to be shared among the co-authors, because they've invested money, emotion, time, and a piece of themselves to do this project. And they will probably not recoup what they invested unless we hit the New York Times bestseller, which we can. I'm going to throw that out there. But I want to hit these rankings and numbers for the right reasons. I said I'm building out my own framework as a publishing company, and I mean that. If you buy it, I need you to honor these people by reading their stories and honoring what they have put into this. We've all made sacrifices in our life, diagnoses or not. So there is no way that somebody out there is not going to understand what it is to have lost control, Nick never in control, and found a way, maybe sometimes, of letting go of that control to take back control. And that is what these gentlemen have done. They have not allowed life to live them. They have chosen to live their life. And it is such an honor to not just have the opportunity to publish your stories, but to have met you both. When you meet people that you really don't need to say too much to, or when you're in a speech with them, you don't have to have a non-stop conversation, then you know that you've really met people that you feel aligned with. And that means a great deal to me. I feel that way about my writers. And I'll say it again, that's why I'm so rough on I need to know your why. Because I will turn writers away if the why does not align. The project is not one. The project is 18 of us. Right? So we honor each other's stories. So many beautiful comments, and I really want to address them. We're 11 minutes to, and I do want to ask Aaron, and I want to share this with you guys. Crystal B, who some of you may know, is a co-author in this book as well. She's writing about her CPTSD. Crystal wrote a beautiful song, not for this book. And we're friends, so she shared it with me. just as some of my friends have been creating music, like Sharon Byrne as well, and they share it with me, and I like to listen to these in the evenings when I'm unwinding. Her song hit me so hard that I was like, I really want to use this to promote the book. And I reached out to my darling brother and said, brother, I need you to put together a video and do your Iron magic with this song. Crystal agreed that we could use the song. I want to make sure I give her full credit. And I want to make sure that I give Aaron full credit for what you are about to see, because it will be playing everywhere. All these co-authors are going to share it. And I hope by the end of it, you walk away with this.
Gave it a name in a cold white room. Spoken whispers like a spell my doom. But I've got a soul that can't diagnose. I've walked through fire and I'm still close to everything I'm meant to be, not just what they see. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Some days hurt, some days shine, but I've made peace with this heart of mine. I've got cracks, but they let light in. That's where the strength begins. No shame in being real, that's how I heal. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Might walk a little slower, but my heart beats just as loud. Might fall and get back up again, but I wear that proud. Cause brave looks different on everyone, and I'm proud of who I've become. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm more than pain, more than letters next to my name. I've got fire, I've got grace, I've got hope you can't erase. So don't you tell me who I am, I'm writing that with my own hand. I'm still singing loud and clear. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here. And I'm not my diagnosis.
So, brave looks different in everyone. And I see the two of you. I know that everyone here tonight sees you. And they see the brand of brave that Jerry wears and the brand of brave that Joshua wears. And we're going to take our stories and we're going to change this damn world. It is there forever, in print. People will read this book you will never meet. You will never know what sentence in your chapter changed a life. That is the truth. And if I did not meet people along the way like you guys, my life wouldn't change either for the better. So It was so much thanks that I give to look at all the people in this collaboration. We have guests here today who are writers. We have remote producers and video visionaries. We have songwriters and lyric creators and music creators. I will end by saying this. The book is a little bit sassy because y'all know me and I'm a little bit sassy. And these stories are going to rip you apart. But I promise you, by the time you finish reading each chapter, you would have been pieced back together just the way that writer of that story pieced themselves back together. And you're seeing two of them now on this screen whole. So, any parting words for us as we wrap up, Jerry?
I just really appreciate the fact that you brought us on here to be able to tell our stories and that you put together the anthologies, because it's important that we share what we've learned through these experiences that we live through.
Really is. And I thank you for that. Vision or no vision for an anthology, it could not happen if people like yourselves didn't step up and say, yes, I want to be a part of this. And Joshua, what about yourself?
Likewise to what Jerry said, I really appreciate that for you put into this. And most of all, I thank you for inviting me to be part of it. I really had an interesting time doing it. I'm happy I did. I hope that a lot of people out there will just come away with this, just feeling better about themselves. And one quick note is our bodies are incredible. God knew what he was doing when he made our brains and our bodies. And don't let the world tell you can't do it.
What a wonderful note to end on. And with that, I will say before we let these gentlemen off of the stage, when I say that Nick's a little sassy, the back cover of that book, when you see the faces of the 18 of us, it does say, we are not your stigma. I had to put it in there that way because I wouldn't say it any other way. Simple as that. So, guys, I will talk to you soon. In fact, I think I will be seeing you both perhaps tomorrow. We do have a draft review Zoom call. So, wonderful. Have a great night. And Aaron's going to bring you. Sorry?
Likewise. Enjoy.
Oh, thank you. Aaron's going to bring you backstage. And if you want to stay for a couple of minutes so we could just close out together, we will. So I want to thank everyone for being here. We have so many co-authors actually in the audience. I can't stop to name you all, but they will all have an opportunity to be here on Nick Never in Control. We are going to do this show every Saturday night throughout the month of June until the launch, which is July 1st. We are also grateful to have several friends with live shows who will be bringing us onto their shows as well. We are going to be sharing those events. Please look out for them. And if you're wondering how you can best support us, spread the word. It's as simple as that. Spread the word. And no, it doesn't have to be a post and a video and just you're chatting with someone. You know about it. Just spread the word. So we are at 1 minute to go. I have a ton of notes written down here. I know I'm not going to remember anything to share, but I will end with this really quick before we go, because this is very important to me. So I'm going to throw up this graphic here. This is Intention to Ink. This is going to kick off on July 10th. This Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern with Brenda Lisa Acosta and myself. Intention to Ink is an hour writing session that everyone is welcome to. No, there is no cost involved in this. If you are writing a book, thinking of writing a book, want to start journaling, don't know when to start, write poetry, simply want to doodle, but you feel that you need some sort of accountability in terms of a time frame to put in your writing, you are welcome to join the Zoom call on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. We're going to start with a 5 to 7 minute guided meditation with Brenda-Lise, and she's not going to take you far. She's going to take you over the next 45 minutes, and we're going to write for 45 minutes, and then we will end with her for 5 or 7 minutes. And let's see if that intention to ink brought you within that hour to where you visualize yourself to be. So that is an open invitation to everyone. I will be sharing more about that, and so will Brenda-Lise. Thank you to all of you. I'm going to go back and answer all the comments. I know that Jerry and Joshua will also check the comments so they can answer any questions that we didn't have an opportunity to answer tonight. With that, I want to invite you all back next Saturday, and we will have new guests on the show. So much love to you all. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And next week, just think, if you hit a situation that is just completely out of control, it's okay for you to say, you know what? I'm never in control. I need to let loose. Let it loose. You'll see that control will come back.
Control and embrace who you are. Set your soul free to dream. When a new day breaks and you feel you are standing at hell's gate, look back and you will see there is someone waiting for you, he, she, or me. Free your mind and open your heart. Loosen control and embrace who you are. Set your soul free to dream. And thorns that impede the path to our greatest selves, but the test to our willingness and strength to find our greatest wealth. Free your mind and open your heart. Loosen control. To dream, come dream with me. Come dream with me. Come dream. Come